Revelation 19, verses 11 to 15. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. Revelation 2, verses 26 to 28. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And I will give him the morning star. Notice how he said, even as I received from my Father, will I give power to he that overcometh, and keepeth my works unto the end, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. Because I have the morning star. Now some people who don't believe what is actually written in Revelation probably think that Jesus Christ rides a white horse like Pegasus or something down from heaven, without giving power to him that keepeth his works to the end. So people who say that they believe what's written in Revelation and deny the power that Christ delegates to him that overcometh are obviously delusional. Right? Okay, now that I've mentioned that, I also care to mention that some people who are passive-aggressive deny the wrath that God's ministers execute upon them that do evil. And just point out the love part. And I'll talk about that passive-aggressive thing a little bit later in this video. Romans 13, verses 1 to 4. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger, to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. So the ministers of God are the powers that be. But some people choose to have a separation of church and state instead. I say again that according to Romans 13, the ministers of God are the powers that be. But some people choose to have a separation of church and state instead. So now we can plainly see that these elected officials of men are not the powers that be that Paul was talking about, because being a power that be, which is a minister of God, is separate in other people's minds by their separation of church and state. Hello? This is God talking through one of his real ministers. And God's wrath is born out of love, which wrath a lot of other people deny. You see, when a Catholic priest, for example, is sodomizing a little boy, he gets satanic power from doing that. And that's why all of the major religious cults idolize their pedophile leaders at the top of their cults. I've mentioned before how Muhammad raped a 9-year-old girl that he married when she was 6, and how Talmudic Synagogue of Satan bastards agree with having sex with 3-year-olds. And that's in their Talmud book. Do the research. They don't call it rape because rape is a bad word to child molesters, isn't it? And that's why God's real ministers execute wrath upon them that do evil, just like it says in Romans 13. And don't support Rothschild's counterfeit Israel, where Solomon once built his house upon the sand and not upon a rock, if you know what I mean. Now I care to say that the fear energy that child molesting reprobate bastards get from raping and torturing children loses its power in the predators when the predators get terrorized by God's powers. And I am a terror to the evil, just like it says in Romans 13. I've witnessed a world full of people who idolize David, for example, who screwed another man's wife, made sure that that man got dead, and then said that the child should die because of his sin. So David and his adulteress had their first child, who was not allowed to live because of David's act. And then Solomon came along, who became David's right-hand man. And I don't care who don't like me for how I trash David's overinflated image. A lot of law professionals just love dead David, and for good reasons. He had Solomon set up and build their original courts of law for them about 3,000 years ago. But this is what God said about the builder of his house in 2 Samuel 7, 5-13, contrary to the lie of David. Go and tell my servant David, thus saith the Lord, shalt thou build me an house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people, saying, Why build ye not me an house of cedar? Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be a ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time. And since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies, also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee an house. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. And that's that spiritual house that's not built by masons. And Solomon had a great white throne of ivory to judge from, and he covered it in the purest gold. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. As I keep saying, is the number of the beast. That's who justifies these tax whore judges of law that we see sitting in the seat of the beast, and their sold out lawyer associates who are also damned by law. Luke 11:46. And he said, Woe unto you also, ye lawyers, for ye laid men with burdens grievous to be borne, and ye yourselves touch not the burdens with one of your fingers. Sound familiar? The thing about these bastards that causes me, a minister of God, to execute wrath is that they oppress God's children for a whore's wages. And they don't care. So here I am, Michael, standing up for the children. Like it says in Daniel 12:1, in a world full of owned males, preaching the love of God only, for the Queen of the South's sake. They're not God's elect, obviously, because they will not execute wrath on them that do evil. And how, by the way, are the wicked and godless removed, like it talks about in the beginning of the book of Enoch? By showing child molesting reprobate bastards love. And I know that some people are accused falsely of these things, which is a terrible thing. This is true. So let's just deal with what we know for sure, or what we can prove. Now, contrary to these pill-pushing mental health professionals, child molesters are evil reprobates to God. They're not chemically imbalanced so that the pill pushers can push their pills and send them off on their raping way. To show a child molester or any other godless rapist, reprobate, love and compassion is showing a reprobate bastard that you're weak and vulnerable. And since they have no conscience, unconditional love towards godless reprobates just helps to justify them for their wicked abominations against God. Does that make sense? I'm seeing that the spirit of Cain can be very passive-aggressive. And that spirit just loves to let child-molesting religious systems continue to rape children for satanic power. The liberal whore has raised herself up these days to value the latest fashions at the expense of children. It's called child sacrifice in whatever form serves the whore. Whether child labor, child porn, child schooling to make future tax slaves, rape, torture, murder. I'm talking about the American mall whore, who is an idolater, and the whore in every other country also. She's sold out to her system that she's comfortable with. And I'll tell you about world peace that a Miss Universe whore might preach for fame and goodly things. The name Solomon means peace, which reminds me of something written in the book of Daniel. Daniel 8:25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And I understand that. Matthew 10:34. Think not that I am come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. So you see how through peace and love alone, the Queen of the South, who came to hear the wisdom of Solomon, can condemn and kill through a sort of passive aggressiveness. She knows very well how to manipulate against the multitudes, and I know how to destroy her and hers. Back to Solomon. who she came to hear the wisdom of. Who received that amount of gold, as I've talked about. You don't see that anywhere else. Broke the old covenant. You might think that by now, with all of the evidence I show against Solomon in my videos and flyers I distribute, that I could get one more fellow as a witness to stand up and speak the truth against the bastard who agreed with worshiping Molech and killing for personal gain. I personally hate this world of sold-out cowards who don't mind letting this horrible child abuse continue. So give me another witness, please. Leviticus 20, verses 1 to 5. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, Whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. And I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech, to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do in any ways hide their eyes from the man, when he giveth of his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man, and against his family, and will cut him off. And all that go a-whoring after him to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people. 1 Kings 11:7. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. How much more evidence does a man need to speak up against these things? Because I've been doing this for over 5 years now, trashing Solomon's messed up image. 1 Kings 11, verses 9 to 11. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, Forasmuch as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. So God gave David's scumbag son up to worship the host of heaven. Acts 7:42 and 43. Then God turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. And Solomon was king for 40 years, by the way. Thought I'd mention that. And though these things are known, another godless bastard will come along who worships Solomon in his whoremonger image to tell me, how dare you speak against Solomon this way, to his own eternal destruction. It only takes 2 witnesses to testify against the beast that was and is not. The beast that was and is not, according to Revelation 17:8. That's what it says there. Deuteronomy 17, verses 2 to 7. If there be found among you within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, man or woman that hath wrought wickedness in the sight of the Lord thy God, in transgressing his covenant, and hath gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun or moon, or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded, and it be told thee, and thou hast heard it, and inquired diligently, and behold, it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought in Israel, then shalt thou bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing unto thy gates, even that man or that woman, and shall stone them with stones till they die. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterward the hands of all the people, so that thou shalt put the evil away from among you. God gave Solomon up to worship the host of heaven, just like it says in Acts chapter 7, along with all of them that obeyed him. Solomon is not in paradise, and he never will be. And I care to say that if that bastard was standing in front of me today, I would stone him to death for what he did, without mercy. Him that showed no mercy. James 2:13, for he shall have judgment without mercy, that hath shewed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. How many millions of children have been tortured and murdered over the last 3,000 years or so because wicked idolaters worship that rotten bastard's image? Solomon is dead, but the structure he set up for Satan has been playing out for a long time now. So, do you think that one of these courthouse tax hooker judges of law is going to judge Solomon guilty while sitting in the seat of the beast for a whore's wages and perverted judgment? These are our enemies to us. These ungodly bastards need to be terrified right out of their high chairs with this revelation against Solomon. Are y'all just going to keep paying bail, spelled B-A-A-L, when you get a bullcrap charge against you, so the rich man can pay his legal prostitute at home? She's a whore. Let the whore grow her own food and work with her hands if she wants to eat. And let her burn if she wants to. Revelation 18:9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. If someone wants to tell me that I shouldn't execute wrath upon them that do evil, as God's ministers do, then go ahead, to your own shame and humiliation. 2 Corinthians 10 verses 4-6. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ, and having in a readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. My obedience is fulfilled. And I love not my life unto the death. It's been this way for quite some time now. Revelation 12, verses 7-11. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Thank you.